The night shift is supposed to be quiet, fewer people, less noise, just you, the hum of fluorescent lights, and the hours crawling by. But sometimes, quiet is the problem. These are 4 real stories sent in by people who worked alone at night and encountered something they still can't explain. As always, names and locations have been changed for privacy. I'd been working the overnight shift at a gas station for about 8 months. It was the kind of job where you learn to tell time by who walks in. Truckers around midnight, drunk college kids around 1, and then nothing. Just silence until sunrise. There was one man who came in every single night at exactly 2:47 a.m. I know the time because I started checking the clock when I realized how consistent he was. He never bought anything. He'd walk in, go to the back cooler, open it, stand there for about 30 seconds, then leave. Every night. Same time, same routine. I never said anything to him. Something about the way he moved felt off. He never looked at the cameras, never looked at me. Just straight to the cooler and out. One night, my manager stayed late doing inventory. When the man walked in at 2:47, I pointed him out. My manager went pale. He grabbed my arm and pulled me to the back office and said, "That man died 6 months ago. He had a heart attack in aisle 3. I found him myself. I quit the next morning. I never went back. But sometimes I wonder, does he still go to that cooler? Is he still showing up at 2:47? And whoever works that shift now, do they even know what they're looking at?" I worked security at a mid-sized hospital for 2 years. The overnight shift on the 4th floor was considered the bad shift. Nobody wanted it. When I asked why, the older guards would just shake their heads and say, "You'll see." The 4th floor was long-term care. Most patients were elderly, unresponsive, or sedated. The hallway was always dim, always quiet, except for the machines. About 3 weeks into my rotation up there, I started noticing a door at the end of the hall. Room 419. It was always closed. The chart outside was blank. I assumed it was empty. One night, around 3 a.m., I heard movement from inside 419. A slow, dragging sound, like something being pulled across the floor. I radioed the nurse's station. No response. I knocked. The sound stopped immediately. I opened the door. The room was empty, bed stripped, lights off. But in the center of the floor, a single chair had been dragged from the corner to directly in front of the door, facing outward, like something had been sitting there, waiting. I reported it. Facilities said they'd look into it. 2 nights later, the chair was back in the corner. I never touched it. Nobody on my shift did. Nobody could explain how it moved. 3 weeks after I transferred, a new guard was assigned the 4th floor rotation. He lasted 4 nights. On the 5th night, he called in sick. He never came back. He didn't even collect his last paycheck. I ran into him once. Months later, at a grocery store. I asked him what happened. He just looked at me. Then he said, "The chair was facing my direction every single night. Every night I came in, it had moved closer to the door." He said by night 4, it was pressed right up against it, like something was leaning on it from the inside, trying to get out. I don't know what is in room 419. I don't know why no one uses it. But I know this. Whatever is in that room, it knows when someone is watching. I was the only staff member on the overnight shift at a diner outside of town. Cook left at 2. It was just me until 6 a.m. Most nights nothing happened. Truckers, insomniacs, the occasional couple who didn't want to go home yet. One night a man came in around 4 a.m. and sat at the last booth in the back. He ordered coffee. That was it. He just sat there, staring at the table. After about 20 minutes, I went to refill his cup. Before I could say a word, he looked up and said, "You should call your mom tonight, Sarah. She's been worried about you." My name tag said Sarah. I assumed that's how he knew, but I hadn't spoken to my mother in 3 weeks. We'd had an argument. I hadn't told anyone. I laughed it off, went back behind the counter. 5 minutes later, I looked up, and his booth was empty. No sound of the door. No headlights in the parking lot. His coffee cup was full. He hadn't touched it. I called my mom that morning. She picked up on the first ring and started crying before I even said anything. She told me she'd been up all night, that she had a bad feeling something was wrong. I never saw that man again. I never found out how he knew. And I've never been able to come up with an explanation that makes sense. I cleaned office buildings for years. The overnight shift pays better and you're mostly alone, which suited me fine. Most buildings have a routine. Top floor down, finish in the lobby, done by 5. One building I worked had a basement level, storage rooms, old filing archives, a utility corridor that ran the length of the building. My supervisor told me not to worry about it on my first night. "Nobody goes down there," he said. "Just leave it." 3 months in. My supervisor quit without notice. No explanation. His replacement told me basement rounds were now part of my job. I didn't argue. The first night I went down, everything was fine. Cold, dusty, dead quiet. I moved through the corridor, checked the storage rooms. Done. Easy. Second night, one of the storage room doors was open. I hadn't opened it. I closed it and kept moving. Third night, the same door was open again, and inside, stacked neatly against the far wall, were photographs. Hundreds of them, all printed on plain paper, all of the same hallway I was standing in, taken at different times, different angles, and in several of them, standing at the far end of the corridor, was a figure, tall, facing the camera, in every single photo. I called my supervisor from the parking lot. He told me to go home for the night. The next morning, he told me that building's overnight contract had been terminated. I was reassigned. He never told me why. I still have one of those photos. I took it without thinking, and every time I look at it, I'm convinced that figure is looking back. Night shifts change you. The dark hours have a way of showing you things daylight keeps hidden. If you've experienced something on an overnight shift that you can't explain, send it in. The link is in the description. Sleep well.